Hi there again. In this next part of the JDXA Producer's Guide, I'm going to show you how to construct some analog drums and then sequence them. So I've got an initialized patch here again. Now I'm going to use the filter resonance, self-oscillating resonance, to make the kick drum first off on analog part 1. So let's turn down these sawtooth waves so we don't have anything. Reset the envelope, so just push them up once and then back down, all the controls, so it registers. Now, LPF2, low pass filter 2, sounds particularly good for making kicks. So what we want to do is select it on there, turn up the resonance, and then bring up the decay slider, and then we can pitch our kick drum with a filter cutoff dial. This can be done on any synth that's got self-oscillating resonance, self-oscillating filters. Okay, so there we have a basic kick tone. Now let's dial in some envelope depth to give us more shape to the kick tone. We'll turn it up to max. Now as you can see, that's not tracking the keyboard, the filter's not tracking the keyboard at the moment. So if we do a little bit of key follow, the resonance is now tracking the pitch of the keyboard. So there we have our kick drum on analog part 1. It's as simple as that. And if we want to lengthen the sound, we can just flick up the release of the amp, as you can hear. Now, at any point, if you want to come back and tweak that, you can do that. Now, let's move on to analog part 2, which we're going to put a snare drum on. Turn off analog part 1, switch on 2. Again, we hear our sawtooth waves. Turn them down in the mixer. Reset the envelopes. So we have nothing. And this time I'm going to use some white noise to make the snare drum. So we've got white noise selected in the mixer. Turn up the aux control, which is the white noise level, and we turn up our amp envelope decay and use that to shorten the sound down. Make sure it's turned right up using the amp level control here. That affects the volume of each part. So now we have a snare-ish type sound. And once again, we can add envelope depth. And dial in the tone that we want for our snare. Add some key follow once again for different pitch. Change the tonality with the cutoff of the filter. And again, we can try the different filter types just to hear it sounds. Again, I like the sound of low pass filter 2 here. It's got a nice sizzle on the top end, but enough body on the low end as well. So now we have a snare on part 2. Now if you think there's too much bass in there, you can high pass filter it if you want. You can add some resonance to change the tone, or leave it as is. There we go. Analog part 2 snare drum sound. Now we take that off. Now let's go to analog part 3. Once again, we've got the sawtooths, turn those down. Reset the envelopes. And this time, I'm going to use the filter resonance to make a hi-hat. So let's turn that up. A nice metallic top end. I'm using low pass filter 1 here. Again, we can use key follow if we want to pitch it, but it doesn't work so great on hats. Let's add some envelope depth. just tweak the envelopes till we get the sound we're after. It's all about balancing the filter envelope and the amp envelope together until you get the desired sound. That sounds nice and punchy. So now let's flip back through the 3 analog sounds we've got. Part 1, kick drum. Part 2, snare. And part 3, hi-hat. And we can use the select controls there and just balance the levels as we want of each part with the amp control. So first of all, we're going to record our kick drum into the sequencer. So first of all, hit pattern length and let's go for 4 measures. Hit enter. Set our tempo. Yeah, 120 is cool. Okay. Now, hit real-time record now. Counting is set here to 2 measures, that's fine. And then we can go ahead, we just press play and we can record our kick drum after the 2 measure counting. Then we have our kick drum in the sequencer. We can change the volume of that with the amp dial there, and we can still change the sound as we want. We can add some reverb. Now you can add that per part, but this is a global reverb I'm just putting on here for now to keep things simple. So when you're recording to the sequencer, basically each of the 8 parts, the 4 analog and the 4 digital, they become sequencer tracks. So if you want to play that sound, you can still play over the top, but if you don't want to trigger that sound by mistake, you hit the on button for each track and you then can't play it, and then it's all safe. And if you want to mute a part, you can press shift and the on button for that track, and that takes it in and out. So that's good for making arrangements. Obviously there's no song chaining, no song mode in the XA, so the only way you can really make extended arrangements is to just mute things in and out and step things up that way. So there we have the kick. Let's just turn the reverb down a little bit. Let's go to part 2 now, which is our snare. And once again, hit real-time record. Just missed the start there, so let's start again. 2, 3, 4. There we have our snare part in. Now, quantizing you have to do before you record on the XA, which is a bit of a pain. Maybe that can be updated, changed in an OS update, but so just remember, if you want it to swing, you've got to do it before you record with the input quantize. Regardless, it's still a cool little sequencer. There's a few little things that could be improved about it, but there we are. So now let's move to our hat. Now that sounds a bit loud. So I was triggering there, I forgot to take it off the select. Now we've got our hat. Now the sequencer does record parameter changes, real-time parameter changes, so I'm going to try to do like an open versus closed hi-hat on the same track here. So let's give it a whirl. Let's stop that a second. So we've got 2 measures again. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep, so now we've got a hi-hat part there. And we can take steps out and put them back in as we want. If we want to look at any of the particular measures, we just hold shift and we can look at the different measures. So that's measure 1, measure 2, measure 3, measure 4. So we always know what we're looking at in the sequencer. So now we've got our basic beat. Let's add some reverb back again. Now each part has got its own reverb sound, so you can affect the amount which parts actually go to the reverb and how much of the sound is sent to the reverb as well. Or take the reverb off completely off the part. Now we could try adding some percussion now on part 4. So let's once again turn down the oscillate. Actually, I've changed my mind. I'm going to do an analog bass line. Let's do an analog bass line on part 4. Let's do a sort of 303-ish sound. Now, you can hear that's mono already. We don't want poly mode on. Let's add some portamento. Right, let's record that in. Just a basic sawtooth patch there. I'll tweak the sound in a moment. Here we go again. 2 measures count in. 1, 3, 4. Multi-effect. Now, for Analogue part 4, it's off at the moment. Some auto wire. Filter sound, phaser sounds good. 12-stage phaser. 4-stage sounds nice. Okay, now let's move to the digital parts. Just going to turn that down a little bit so I can hear myself. So we're now on digital part 1. Forgot to take that one out there, so I was triggering it. Now we should be cool. We were triggering the digital and the analog together there, so we just want to trigger the digital over the top of the analog. So let's try that again. Okay, now we've got that part in. Now let's layer like a road sample in with that. Somewhere around here, let's do a bit of scrolling. Where are you? Maybe earlier on. we've got an EP there. And we've got that layered with a pulse wave. Let me just quickly explain that. So the digital part we've got going, we've got on part 1, we've got a EP sound, EP wave, and on part 2 we've got a pulse wave. We've got them layered together to make that sound. And when we put them together with the analog drums and the bass line that we've done, analog bass line, we get this. We got some delay. Tempo sync. And then we can mute things in and out, press shift and mute out any parts. Bring the kit back in. Mute out the digital part. Bring the hats in. Snare. And then bring back in the digital part. Now if I want to put some strings on the top of that, I can just go to digital part 2. Let's find some strings. Change the level there. Okay, let's record that in. Hear that there. Now if I want to solo on the top of that, I can then add another sound. Let's find a super saw. Hit mono mode. Bit of reverb. And there you have the basics of making some analog drums and sequencing them, along with an analog bass, a couple of polyphonic parts in the digital section, and a lead over the top.